Hey, it's Freeman. You're not leaving without me.
Okay, I guess I can go. What's the best fictional universe? What's the place you'd most want to live? I mean, actually, not in some cartoon body that never shits, that never acts out against the people you love, nothing dumb like that. Your regular body. Where would you most like to live? For a long time, my answer was something in fantasy. Something with the best mix of comfort and danger. The convenience of the modern world with the coolness of magic and quests and all that. Nothing weird though, like not a Fear and Hunger universe. A universe where you can be who you normally are and still get like friends in a community. That's the problem with people today, you know. I never see anyone for longer than 6 months. I just keep up with my investigations. I go out and there's a new thread every day that'll take me a week to unravel. They're what make me unique. For a while I thought being unique made me better than most people. But I no longer think this. No, I think everyone comes to that point where they no longer think this. They learn that this view is romantic, that what you want the most is what you cannot have, what you get, even if it looks like the thing in your dreams is just a shade of it, the totem without the god, and you learn to appreciate it for what it is, rather than what you want it to be. So no, it won't come from fantasy. It'll come from the opposite of it, the lowest little thing I've ever read in my entire life, and this low, whiny, disgusting, pathetic little thing just so happens to have come from a Discord server called Total Horror. Now, word to fucking God, I never wanted that all lowercase shit. That was always cringe. Total Horror was an avant-garde literary webzine created to develop a new genre of the same name. This genre, Total Horror, never solidified into anything I can tell. It just seemed like some extreme kind of horror, usually with some kind of petty philosophy attached to it. The only thing it cared about was fear. Everything else, the characters, the story, the atmosphere, that was all stripped out in favor of more and more fear. Miserable levels of fear. Fear of everything. Fear from everything. Inside everything. They thought of themselves in the tradition of Lovecraft, and a few other thinkers that I don't really know anything about. Terrifying second? What the But anyway, Lovecraft is the main guy. He's the first person who, in their minds, actually gave a shit about horror. Total Horror was just the next step. You see things like this pop up every now and again. Artists who've grown disillusioned with algorithms and websites like YouTube retreating to message boards, peer-to-peer sharing, PDFs, MP4s, MOVs. Sometimes you'll find them advertising in a lonely general chat somewhere, but usually you won't. It turns out that if you go into a new server and immediately start linking random files to people, you end up looking very suspicious. In the more artier side of Discord, these kinds of people are banned on site. This is actually a part of their mythology. At least that's what I heard back when I was on this side of Discord. They enjoy the prestige that comes from being banned, or as they would say, being feared from the mainstream internet. But even in this tiny, incredibly annoying bubble of online webzines, Total Horror was a nobody. Not even 1/1,000,000% relevant enough to end up on my radar. How then, you may ask, did I find out about them? Well, my little screen readers, I found it the way I find everything else nowadays. You see, I was playing White Knuckle. Also, side note, I'm pretty good at White Knuckle now, so I was playing White Knuckle when I suddenly fell into a deep, unrecoverable trance. I believe it was right around the Abyss section, and I was on a PB pace as well, so I was fucking furious. But when I came back and cleaned up and realized I had fallen into a trance, I saw a new notification from my Discord application. A thing called a friend request from a person named JRF Bay, and as always, I answered. Hello? Hey, You're still at it. Did you do that? I was on world record pace. I'm not mad if you did it. I just want to know. I don't know. Did what? Whatever. I'm not even tired anymore. It doesn't matter. What's up? Scammer, my first thought. The second was something like demon or fan, or both, I guess, considering my last video. I found myself hovering back over my kill program as I waited for his response. 5 minutes later, your videos, you're still making them. I thought you would have given up after the backlash to your tier list with the game jacking and all that. I thought it was really mean going for a white river on a kitty like yourself. You have to have a little forgiveness, I feel like. People are crazy nowadays, but it seems like you have a good relationship with that thing. You're very lucky, okay? You're talking like you think I'm gonna kill you. Are you working on a new case? No, I'm actually like, I've been busy with other things. I see. Well, you should look up this guy when you have a chance. He's sick. The link he sent me led to a video of...
I and Tony will make the fort. Who wants to help us? No! Hey, you freaking idiot!
Well, your guess is as good as mine given this quality. Jesus Christ. How is footage still this low quality in 2025? This map came out in like 2012. You have an iPhone. Even when I was using Fraps back then, what the fuck is wrong? Even I was using Fraps back then, what the fuck? But in my anger, I spotted it. A name. Nexam. Now, who could that be? And then some later, and now we're gaming. Now, most of these here webzines never end up making anything. People burn up with each other, a fight happens, they never resolve it, and the zine eventually dies. From my time studying the genre, publishing just a single issue seemed like a miracle. You get 2 or 3 out, and you're gunning for a spot in the Bible. Total Horror managed to publish nothing. They're not special. Sorry, I didn't mean to imply. They're not unique, okay? They were, like everyone else, just a couple of teenagers messing around. But they did end up finishing one work, a comic entitled Forever. This comic was created by the zine's co-founders, Nexam and Stupid Man. From what I gather, this was the crowning achievement of the group. It was made over a single weekend and served as their founding document, manifesto, proof of concept, and core philosophical text. The entirety of their careers, the beginning and end, all in default hex code black in Times New Roman font. This comic, the writing and the drawings it holds, is the final result of 6 months of collective effort from several friends, and I guess this video is going to be a reaction to said content. As Hegel once said, at the end of every road, at the bottom of every pit, in the center of every maze lies Wubsy. So we initially thought it was just another comic, another piece of content born to be buried under the algorithm like everything else. But then, as we continued, we realized we were making something different. Well, it was still content like everything. It's privileged to assume that you're above making content, but like, as it went on, it started becoming something different. Forever takes place in the United States, in some city you've seen before, in a building on the brighter side. There's someone inside. It's me. I'm awake again. This is our protagonist, a nameless teenage boy whose life doesn't matter that much. He's not particularly talented, or disciplined enough to overcome talent, or curious enough to build discipline. He is, just like a lot of people, a point on some economist's formula, endlessly divisible into zero, and beyond that, into zero over and over again, until he's back to dust. But one night, as he's dreaming about something nonsensical, he suddenly becomes someone different. He is visited by none other than the creator of the universe, a strange, serpent-like entity. You will be blessed, the creator said. A gift, or a wish, or a change. Whatever you desire, I shall give thee. He didn't think much of it when he woke up. He never thought much of it at all, actually, chalking it up as one of the many strange things you experience as a child, still discovering this place you're living in. He grew up, entered high school, and endured all the usual obstacles one encounters there. I noticed while reading, he's never stated as having any friends, even distant ones, nor does he have any real connection with his family. That probably explains why he did what he ends up doing, and why he never feels sad about it, but still something to point out, I guess. He's a true island, our little protagonist. I tend to find a lot of islands nowadays. Then, one random night, just like when he was a child, he finds himself back with the creator. Another dream, one that makes him much, much happier. My child, you now know what it is you desire. Tell me. He's overwhelmed by something that can't be pinned down by thought. For a moment, he gains complete control over his body, his feelings, the rolling branches and sub-branches and unbranches of his thoughts, his whole consciousness for a single moment, and he speaks. I want a power that can't be taken from me, a power that can't be used to trick me into torturing myself, or going into a coma, or being put into any kind of situation I can't get myself out of. Nothing like that, you understand? Not even a moment later, and it was gone, spooled back into his endless spiral. Wait, I said, but then I was alone. As he goes to school, he considers his options. Is this really what he wants to do? He'll be a murderer, the worst murderer of all time. If he messes this up and can't undo it, then he'll have doomed all of humanity. But after taking a quick look at the life around him, he suddenly realizes that he never really cared much for this anyway. If somebody had told him a nuclear bomb was going to drop in 5 minutes and that everyone he'd ever known or spoken to was going to die, it wouldn't mind him one bit. All in all, it wasn't a terribly tough decision. Cars crash into each other. Boats sit quiet. Planes fall out of the sky, toppling into skyscrapers which collapse, striking down hundreds of miles of habitable land in about 3 minutes. In 1 second, in one moment, in one instant, all trace of human life is wiped away, except for our protagonist, of course, who sits politely at his desk, his backpack at his side. He contemplates what he's just done, lays his head down, wonders if he should go to sleep like this, in the awkward post-blast moments. Eventually, he decides he can't stand to be in this place anymore. So, I left for the beach. It doesn't provide much relief. The waves go on as usual, just like the birds. It's something he knew logically, but hadn't yet fully accepted. Humanity really is not that consequential for most things. The world will change, yes, but it won't end. It won't be over without us. Even with the other disasters that are bound to come, as nuclear reactors and dams and other big pieces of technology start to fail, it's nothing animals haven't experienced before. Earthquakes and tornadoes, floods and droughts, an unlucky streak in one's hunting. Here is when we get our first, I guess I should call it, break in the comic. It was my fault because I was the captain, but there's only so much you can do when you're not an asshole. Man wanted to do it, and I thought it didn't matter that much because nobody was reading, so I was like, oh, okay, sure. I regret it now, obviously. Our protagonist decides to test his new power. He doesn't think God is lying, but he couldn't have actually given him a literal infinite amount of power. There had to be a catch, something that would only emerge once he fully believed he was in the clear. A trick, some reversal of fortune. That's how it always worked in stories like this. He tries to think up something abstract, something that could only exist in his mind, all twisted and strange, sliding around between color and texture and image, and put that thing out into the world, see what would happen. So he closes his eyes, allows the blood to flow, and then, in an instant, he opens them to see. This is not my doing. Well, you know, once I saw it, I didn't want it in, so you were the one that put the censor bar over it. I don't fully remember, to be honest, but it wasn't my idea. I never got around to asking him what the photo actually was. The longer we spoke, the more uncomfortable he got talking about the whole issue. Yeah, it was stupid and super fucking pretentious. Regardless, I think I already have a good idea of what's going on here. First off, the photo is obviously of a bag, like a black bag with something bulging inside of it. You can see the folds of this bag. There's some drawstrings in the top left and the bottom left corners, and if you look real carefully, you can make out this general shape. The bag is also heavily water damaged, which, combined with the photo being overlaid on top of the ocean, makes me wonder if this is something that was dumped into the sea at some point. If so, what does this have to do with the story, or with Stupid Man, the alleged owner of the photo? I have no clue, to be honest. I don't know why it ends up looking like this, I just know it does. Maybe the story can give us a clue. Now, after our protagonist views this object, he falls over and begins cowering in fear. When he wakes up, he's laying underneath his bed, shivering. Oh God, he thinks. What if that's the trick? That I can't put myself, any part of myself, in a situation it can't get itself out of again. That would mean it's still here. He creeps out of his bedroom, into the hallway, peering into the open door to his bathroom. He raises his hand and wills the door to close on its own, then for everything else to be silent. There's not a single creak from anywhere in the house. But something about the situation still isn't sitting right with him. That's it. That has to be it. Rattling around in his skull. The thing on the beach. He didn't actually kill it. Not in time. It's out there, tracking him better than any animal or human or anything. It needs him. And once it finds him, it'll do the most unimaginable things to his body. Over and over again, forever. That's the trick. The bastard trick. He can get himself out of anything, but not anything else. This creature, this whatever it is, it's its own being. He repeats this to himself over and over again, not noticing that what he's done so far has made him very, very, very tired. He ends up on the couch without much protest, and soon his eyes are closed, and he's fast asleep. Darkness. Woods. Our protagonist walks through, naked and shivering. He's being chased by something. A monster, inescapable, without mercy, without guilt, and it's gaining on him. He trips and slams his face into the dirt. Looking up, he sees something in front of him, a giant hole in the ground, maybe 50 feet across, right in the center of this forest. He peers down and all he can see is black. It's an endless pit, older than mankind, older than almost anything. People think that the Earth points to the North Pole, or maybe the South Pole. They think that's where everything ends, and once you end up there, the only thing to do is turn back. This isn't true. The real endpoint is right here, and our protagonist, realizing this, decides to crawl forward and fall into it. Do you like it? The comic. Do you like it? Well, it's fine. What? I'm not really a comics guy. Just your immediate reaction. Like, is it boring? It's okay if you think it's boring. No, it's not boring. It's just it's hard to describe. That's not very helpful. LOL. Well, yeah, sorry. It's, some of the parts are a bit too heavy for what I usually cover. Sure, I get you're doing this for a video, but I guess if you're able to, what would your notes be just as a reader? At this point in our conversation, Nexim became increasingly unwilling to talk about Stupid Man. The photograph specifically was a real sticking point. Do you know where he could have gotten the photo? Respectfully, Like, I get it, but at the same time, we put a lot of work into this. There's a lot of structural and compositional work we put into every page, mirroring and parallelism, fractal design, hyperstitious narrative, but it's like you're stuck on this one creepy photo. The photo is imaginary, illusory, dead, like a dumb ghost that hasn't found its way to heaven yet. You should stop worrying about it. So he never told you where he got it from. This is kind of how things went for a while. Our protagonist wakes up and finds himself in an entirely different part of the world, the heart of the Dabashan Mountains in central China. Blisteringly cold, snow, and heavy fog cling to everything. He's still wearing his school clothes, though they are now drenched in sweat. He pulls his arms close and begins to walk slowly down the trail. Then, something catches his eye. Looking off a nearby cliff, he sees the trail leads down to a valley that's filled from end to end with something. He can't quite tell, but they're dots. Little dots. Millions of them, all clustered together, crawling up the mountain maybe 100 feet or so before gradually dying out. It interests him, and he realizes that he probably willed himself to end up here in his sleep. There's something that he wants from this place, that his subconscious is calling from him. So, with a simple wave, he closes his eyes, leans forward, and falls off the cliff. His body slams into the trail 20 feet below him, and he continues rolling forward off the next cliff, and the next, gaining speed until, like right out of a cartoon, his indestructible body goes flying forward, past the end of the trail, straight into the middle of the valley. He tries to collect himself enough to see, but he didn't remember to grant himself that superpower, nor did he remember to grant himself immunity from concussions. He slams into the ground and knocks himself out again. What's the second thing? What? When we started talking, you said there were 2 things I had to remember, but you only said 1. What was the second thing I had to remember? Oh, sorry, I actually don't remember, lol. Okay. It was probably something dumb anyway. Right. Sorry to ask again, but I was looking at the photo more, and I actually noticed something about the edges I wanted to ask you about. Stirring, the soft caress of the wind, strings, neurons and sinew, bone marrow, the bacteria festering in your gut, chewing up good, solid food stuff into shit. Manure used to grow more food, cows butchered and fed into other cows, the brains rotting, those brains being eaten, stomach acid choking from the rot, sending distress signals to the liver, the nervous system, the mouth. Our protagonist is awake again. I notice at this point that he seems to find himself in these situations a lot since he's gotten this power, changing the world in some radical way, getting disgusted by his actions, and then flying away to another part of the world to do something else. I wonder what'll happen if he ends up using the entire Earth. He sits up, finding himself in the valley. It's nighttime now, and in this part of the country that means everything is pitch black. He climbs to his feet, and for a moment is sure the creature is upon him. That's what he's taken to calling it now, the creature. At this point I realize something about our nameless protagonist. I don't think it's just that we don't know his name, I think he may not know it himself. Or at least he doesn't care for it at all. At least I think. It could be a number of other things really. His name isn't much in the grand scheme of things. I can understand why he stopped caring about it. Pulling his phone out of his pocket, anomalously altered so that the battery never dies, he activates the flashlight. He peers at his feet, then to a well right in front of him, then to... what the hell? He turns around to discover an entire field of holes. Holes in the ground that are all throbbing with a slow, continuous pace, like a heartbeat. He creeps forward and sees... Oh God, did he do this? Did he make all of this in his sleep? From his subconscious mind? He drops his phone and screams. He screams and he wants his scream to be heard all around the world. And it is. He wants his scream to tear out his throat muscles. And it does. And then for those muscles to be repaired. And they are. He isn't different. That's the real tragic part. He thought he was different than every other disgusting human. That he operated only in the realm of friendship and morality. That he was pursuing his own life goals. When what he really wanted was just what everybody else wanted. That was the problem. He could not do anything to himself which could not be undone. He would always run away from true freedom. He couldn't handle it. He felt his feet leave the ground, flying up higher and higher, above the clouds and the satellites, outside of the Earth's atmosphere without a hint of discomfort, only the wind brushing past him for a few moments, and then the non-grasping of space. He didn't want to hear the blood rushing in his ears, and so they went silent. And he turns and he turns and he turns slowly towards the sun, and it is everything. The dark planet, Earth, it flies away from him at 67,000 miles an hour, like an innocent witness to murder. It flies away. Do you have anything else you want to say about it? Is there anything else you want to ask about the series, or in general? Sure, yeah. Did you have fun? What, like, making it? Ha, Lamau. Very funny, Red. That's my question, lol. Are you even a real YouTuber? Yeah. I sent you my video on the Pirates, Vikings, and Night Sky. Guys. Yeah, I watched it. So maybe you should watch your tone a bit, lol. Red, your videos fucking suck, dude. You killed that opportunity for that guy. Nightmind fucking hates him now. No, he doesn't. Nobody watched that video. Nightmind did. And you didn't even ask him to talk to you. You just creeped on his game while he was talking to himself. You'll never understand what it's like to do this shit. How much energy you have to put in for this. You don't even have to be nice. You just need respect. You have no fucking respect, Red. And if you're gonna make some pissy speech, at least have Wendigoon get mad instead of fucking Nightmind. Give me a curmudgeon at least. I'll take fucking 4+.
This creature is going to kill everyone in the family, and it's going to cut them up into many pieces, and that it looks like a human. This looks to be from a very long time ago. Ancient, even, I'd say.
Oh my god, I'm gonna
Perhaps
kill
this
myself.
creature-
But I have respect. I have as much respect as anyone in my position could have for you. Well, would you rather I just do a fucking reaction video? You want Wubsy to cover your fucking comic? Don't disrespect Wubsy. His videos are great. And yeah, I would like him covering the comic. I like anyone covering the fucking comic at this point. It's just like, you know, whatever. You're weird. You shouldn't be here. Okay, so things got worse between us and Nexum didn't want to be interviewed anymore. Yeah, I can kind of tell why Stupid Man kind of hates this guy now. So a few other things happened in the story, but I guess since I'm not really qualified to talk about them, we can just skip to the end, okay? So fucking okay. Our protagonist is floating in space. Cold, empty black tape, duct tape around his eyes and his arms. The hairs all around him, charged with psychic energy, are waving back and forth from the force of the sun's rays. His lips are cracked. None of this matters to him. He watches on as the Earth moves away. A large black crater covers North and much of South America. When it spins, it does so too quickly to be stable. He knows how this will end, with the Earth slamming into the sun, causing the solar system to fall apart. He has about 30 minutes before this happens. What does he do? What's left for him to do is the better question. He's given himself invincibility in space, so even while his blood is boiling and his eyes have been pulled out of their sockets from the force, he can still see and think and breathe the same. Throughout his time as a god on Earth, our protagonist here has developed a kind of comatose. Every painful experience is wiped clean or changed into something positive. His sense of consciousness starts to blur, such that he can't really tell one moment from the next, day from night, good from bad, bright from soft or sharp. He's dreaming, even when he isn't dreaming. For a few moments, though, he remembers. He remembers he's alive. He remembers that he's capable of making a new choice. And in those moments, he realizes that what he wants isn't to feel good, isn't to fall asleep again, but something else. That's how it always is. You go your whole life changing one thing only to realize at the last moment that that thing is nothing. What you need is something else, but what that is, you have no idea. He turns again and stares into the sun, stares more, until his vision is just pure white. He knows he's allowing himself to do this, permanently dampen his vision beyond repair, beyond any hope of repair. Of course, this isn't true. He could bring them back to normal just whenever he wants, but he won't. He'll forget. He'll find a way to make himself forget. He can do many things, but he can't forget and remember on command. Or at least, he hasn't yet tried to. He wonders for a second if someone else has ever been offered this gift, and if they have, then why hasn't he been wiped away? Maybe everyone finds himself in this kind of situation, wishing only to die, bringing everything back to the way it started. It doesn't matter. What's left for him to do, really? Sit here and wait? He clenches his fist and manifests the hottest star ever. The heat grows, and it'll only take a moment longer for it to overtake him and everything else. But before that moment passes, he looks out again at the vast emptiness, all of the stars, all of the little things he thought were so important. At this point in the story, the words cut out. He doesn't really have anything else to say, but in this last moment, he notices something. There's a shape moving very slowly towards him. He only notices due to the blackness blocking out the stars, but he doesn't need to see it to know. This is him. It's found him, maybe 10 feet away. In another nanosecond it'll be on him, like a panther. What he found on the beach, it's followed him out to space, swimming through the nothingness like a gigantic squid, or some Lovecraftian thing, or some even more incomprehensible thing. He panics, and then he opens his fists and... Hey, Nexum? Yeah? Do you have the comic still? I sent it to you. I accidentally got rid of the last page of my copy before I could screenshot it. Could you send it again? No. What? I just need another copy. You already have it? Yeah, but I got rid of it accidentally. I just said that. Just retrieve it? It's already yours. Like, go to your recycling bin. No, I didn't, like, delete it. I got rid of it. What? What do you mean you didn't delete it? Well, it's complicated, but I have this, like, thing, and while I was in the middle of typing my response, the conversation disappears. I look into my friends list and Nexum isn't there anymore. I try to add him back, but when I type his username, I see... Oh. How disappointing. I really fucking... Maybe I should have, like, I mean, it doesn't really matter.